Today's topic it really is about police, and we'll start with Patrick Joyce. Anybody remember Patrick Joyce from the Long Branch Police Department? Well, this Blue Zero Hero turd, which I did a video on it. Scroll back in the list. You can watch it. He got a complaint signed against him for criminal sexual contact. They were at a function at a local bar, sports bar, to recognize some officers that were being hired, and he was there. Doesn't say whether he was there with his wife or not, but he is married. And what happened was, there was a girl there that was 21 years old, and Patrick Joyce is well into his 30s. He's well into his late 30s. And he touched her inappropriately. Criminal contact, sexual contact was the charge. And he was suspended without pay pending investigation. And this guy had a history of doing stupid stuff. Prior to that, a couple years ago, he and another guy beat up somebody outside the Headliner nightclub over in Belmar. And because he's a cop, and because his father was a respected, I believe, lieutenant with the Long Branch Police Department, which is how Patrick got his job. Hence, nepotism. I keep talking about nepotism all the time here in Monmouth County, and it's just rampant. It's rampant in the police department more than anywhere. So, the long story short on him was he takes a plea deal on the first one, the assault, and he gets suspended for 1 year. Well, he was suspended for a year because he was on probation. So the department suspends him for 1 year, and after he completes his probation, he gets his job back. I mean, that in itself just shows you how the two sets of rules with cops applies. I think that a cop should be held to the highest level, that he's there to enforce the laws, he's there to set an example, and he should not be getting in trouble. And if he does get in trouble, especially if it's a violent act, such as beating somebody up outside a bar, he should be fired. But he wasn't. And he just continues on his merry old way. He had within his department, I believe he had the higher rate of use of force, too. So anyway, he gets arrested here at this party, this sports bar social event, and he's suspended. The chief gets on there, Chief Roebuck, another gas bag, gets on there, and he's just playing the game. Oh, I'm disappointed. Oh, this disgusts me. Oh, all the nonsense. But it didn't disgust you with all the other things he's done. And I'm sure every cop in that force knew what this Patrick Joyce was about. He's a short dork. That's the best way I can put it. He's got short man disease. He's got to make it up with violence. So, long story on this next situation is he goes to court. Now, I'll just read you briefly what it says. I was going to do a video on it, but we're just going to, I'll read the story if I can bring it up here. Where is it? Because it's just another example of how they get treated different and how they give them little sweetheart deals or little deals that allow them to get out of what it is that they're in. So here's the story. This was posted on the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office, and it reads as follows. Police officer admits offensively touching woman at bar. Now, I don't know if I said before, but this guy is married. And I hope the next court he's going in is going to be divorce court. I hope his wife divorces his ass. So it reads, a Long Branch police officer has pleaded guilty to harassment by offensively touching a woman who attended a police promotion party at a city bar back in February 2019, announced Monmouth County Prosecutor Christopher Gunnison. Long Branch Police Officer Patrick D. Joyce Jr., 35 years old, of West Long Branch, and a 12-year veteran of Long Branch Police Department, pleaded guilty to petty disorderly persons offense. So it's petty. It's like getting a ticket. It's petty. So this means that in X amount of years, I don't know, it's 2-3 years, he can go and have that expunged. Just like he probably had the other stuff expunged too. He doesn't have to wait 10 years. Within a couple years, because it's municipal nonsense, it's nothing. It's a disorderly, petty thing. So he pleaded guilty to the petty disorderly person offense, harassment before Monmouth County Superior Court Judge Paul S. Candon, as part of a plea agreement with the state. Now, get the plea agreement here. This is the way out. The plea agreement calls for a probationary period to be determined by the court at sentencing, mandatory outpatient treatment, and a forfeiture of his current post as a police officer and all future public employment in New Jersey. Now, the question is, forfeiture, does that mean he's fired, or does that mean he resigns? Now, they do say that he will not be able to hold another public service job here in New Jersey. That's great. So we don't have to worry about that turd living off the taxpayers again. But there's nothing from stopping this turd from going to another state and getting a job. So that's the way out. So the charges stem from an incident at Jack's Gold Line City Bar where a private party was hosted following the promotion of 4 city police officers on Friday, February 1st, 2019. At today's plea hearing, Joyce admitted that he offensively touched a 20-year-old woman during the event. As a result of the charges, Joyce was suspended by the Long Branch Police Department, and he will lose that post as part of his plea agreement. And they always got to put this little line in here. The vast majority of law enforcement officers perform their duties with integrity and honor. Well, I'm not worried about the vast majority. I'm worried about the minority, because those are the ones who are going out and hurting people. Those are the ones going out and violating people's rights. They're the ones going out there and lying on reports and unjustly arresting people. They're the ones that are going out and hurting people and costing taxpayers money. But then again, the cop again, they don't want to say that. Because they know they can't say all police officers go out, because we already know in the past few years, 17 police officers have been convicted of a crime here in Monmouth County. So I go on to the next cop. And his name is Joseph Amatura. He's from Deal. He was on Deal Police Department. And this turd, which I did a video, scroll back in the list, you'll see it. He was arrested for allegedly, if I remember right, selling cocaine or marijuana, something to that effect. It was drug related. And he also was arrested for witness tampering or intimidation. I mean, somebody had information on him, and he went back and made a threat. And he's another one. He's been suspended without pay. Now, suspended without pay just means he's sitting at home. He's not getting paid, but if he beats that charge, he will get all that back pay, which in itself is another sweetheart deal that the police and the PBA have got. And as my friend always says, who signed off on that? You know, I say they're going to suspend you. You get suspended. That's it. You don't get paid for not working. And if they're going to suspend you with pay, that doesn't mean sit home. They should make you come to work. I don't know, sit in the break room all day long. sit in the corner, sit in an empty room and stare out the window all day. But these cops, they get these sweetheart deals, and these politicians who are all in bed with them because the PBA bribes them all off, sign off on these nice sweetheart deals. Now, this amateur guy, there's nothing's been going on. I can't find any information on him, any updates on him. But one of the things I wanted to point out is that there's another amateur on the deal police department. He's a sergeant. So it's reasonable to conclude that Joseph is related to the other amateur, that maybe that's his father or that's his uncle, because the guy it's got to be, I believe he's in his 50s, and the amateur is early 30s. So here again, you got another officer that got his job, in my opinion, got his job not because he's qualified, but because he's connected. Nepotism. And, there's got to be a way. I say that, when you're connected like that, you're held to a different level, a lower level of standard. They bring him in, and they go to the police academy, they pass the test, and they got the job. But who's looking to see who they are and what kind of character they are? I mean, I saw some pictures of him. He looks like he belonged on a MTV beach party, with his tank top on, holding a beer and pumping his fists of music. That was the kind of guy he looked like in one of the pictures that I saw. He's just he's a single guy, and he's just out there using his post to have a good time. And looks like he might be allegedly a crack, one of these cocaine heads. And they're worse. I mean, pot smoker, I could care less about pot smokers. They just want to eat chocolate and laugh. But these coke heads, they're the worst to be around, because they're when on the coke, they're wound up. And when they're off the coke, they're turning into a-holes. And then there's this other cop. Well, there's one in Long Branch also. Not Long Branch. Ocean Township here in Monmouth County. This is another turd. He got caught with drugs. I don't know who he was related to. I don't seem to call them being related to anything. But again, he's home, having a vacation, waiting for his day. But finally, the one that really just irks me, and it's going to lead on to what I'm going to talk about next. And this is Richard Conte, Sergeant Richard Conte of Howell Township Police. Now, this well-connected turd was a sergeant over at Howell Township, and he was also in charge of the Monmouth County Emergency Response Team. So that's like the SWAT team. He was in charge of that. He's in his 40s, late 40s, I believe it is. And he's got some time behind him, and he's close to retirement. So many of you probably already know that a while back, a couple months back, I did a video on it. Scroll back, you can watch the video. He was caught in a sting operation. And he thought that he was going to meet up with a 15-year-old girl for the purpose of having sex. He showed up, and he had condoms in his pocket. And he was arrested for child luring. Now, you think that in itself would be enough to get him fired. Because I think it's pretty well good evidence if you showed up with condoms in your pocket. I mean, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to connect the dots on that one. I mean, how do you argue with yourself out of that one? I don't think you can. So this bum, this turd, this child lure predator, was buddies with the chief over there at Howell Township, Andrew Kudrick, that's his name, Kudrick. And this is where the nepotism and the butt buddy system comes into play. So he gets suspended, and the chief gets up there and he does a little PR damage control thing with the press, and I'm disappointed and all that, and it's like, so now it's like this Conte guy is home. He didn't he got a pretty good little deal right at the moment, where he was suspended without pay, and he's on house arrest. And in the meanwhile, see, they're building up the case. He's going to therapy right now. He needs therapy. That's what he needs, therapy. So I look at it and I go, you know what? He's building up the case. He's building up his defense. And defense is that he's going and he's getting help. He's going to go and then he's going to play the victim card. Oh, you know, the stress of the job. Oh, I'm a lonely man. Oh, blah, 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 blah. You know, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I'm getting help. And he's going to go to court. Now, he's not going to get out, I don't think, of what he did. But what's going to happen is he's not going to go to jail. He's going to get some kind of... He's going to get probation. That's what he's going to get. In my opinion, he's going to get probation. And maybe they'll figure a way to downgrade it somehow. And that'll be it. Now, if that was you and I, we'd be sitting in jail. We get fired from our job because no job wants to be associated, have an employee working with them with that, allegation on them. But as the police go, they all protect, the system protects him, and he's not fired. And just a reminder again, because they're suspended without pay doesn't mean they won't get the pay. If for some reason, some miracle, he's able to beat that charge, he's going to get his money. Now, he's a sergeant. He's somewhere up around $135,000 a year, so he's sitting there, he's banking, you know, he'll get that money back if he beats the charge. But what really worries me more than anything is that this bum, this blue zero hero turd, is close to retirement, if not already there. And I'm concerned that what they're trying to do is they're going to kick this can down the road as long as they can. To the point where he can get his retirement, his pension. Because if he gets convicted of a crime before he retires, his pension is probably going to go right out the door. So this is one of the little tactics that they do, that when they know they're going down for something and they have their pension time, they qualify for their pension, they will resign and they get their pension. And I've been banging away at this with Howell Township. New Jersey Wanderer did a video about it, that he needs to be fired. Now. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Now. Fire his ass. I say fire him. If you beat the charge and you're found not guilty, we'll give you a job back. But in the meanwhile, you should be fired. Because if it was anybody else, our employer would fire us. I know my employer would fire me. There's no way I could go to work and represent his company. No way. Or my other job that I just took on recently. So it brings me to this here. And let me bring it up. Bring the file up. Because this is another government propaganda story by our Attorney General. And this is reported on NJ.com. This just came up the other day. April 10th, somewhere around there. Today's the 14th. And it reads, Attorney General again promises to stop excessive police force, and he's using NJ.com's database to do it. Now, some of you might remember a while back, NJ.com compiled a list of all the police officers in the state of New Jersey and the number of excessive force times that they use excessive force against somebody. And he's going to use that. So let me just read real quick. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but New Jersey law enforcement officials are combing through data released by NJ Advanced Media on police use of force to improve training and potentially root out overly aggressive police officers. The state's top cop told lawmakers this week. Well, this is all hot wind. There's a very simple way to root that out. You fire them. When a cop knows he's going to go up there and he's going to beat the crap out of somebody, you know, we all seen the video where the one cop's got the guy down, or two cops got a guy down, and all of a sudden you see 3-4 cops rush into the scene and they all start immediately kicking the guy. they would think twice about that if they found out they're going to get fired. Because most cops don't get fired because of use of force. They get fired because of other things like stealing and sexually related stuff. That's what they get fired for. But when it comes to beating people up, nothing happens. And I'll cite a video that I did. This happened down in Millville, New Jersey. This is South Jersey, near not too far from Atlantic City. There's a lady there by the name of Audra Capps who was stopped. I believe she was stopped. Anyway, there's a cop there by the name of Joseph Dixon, was his name. And he's going to place her under arrest because she's under the influence of alcohol. Now, this woman, who probably stands about 5'1" and probably weighs about 100 pounds soaking wet. She's a very petite woman. And he tells her to turn around, and she says, oh, I want my phone so I can call my husband. Now, she's not being aggressive, but she is resisting arrest. What she's doing is resisting. I'm not arguing that. But she's not being aggressive. She says, I just want to call my husband. And within 2 seconds, this cop takes her by the head and whips her over his shoulder, over his hip, takes her down with all his weight and lands on top of her. You hear it thump in the video. I've got the video up there. Go watch it. I included it in slow motion. You can see how it takes place. He ended up breaking several of her ribs. I've talked to her, and he's really done a number on her, that poor woman. She's got to go through operations, all because of this turd, this thug. And it turns out this Dixon character from Millville Police has one of the highest, if not the highest, rate of excessive force in the state of New Jersey. And when they question the chief about it, he's like, oh, he's just a good old boy doing his job. And so here this guy is, out doing this kind of stuff. And the chief does nothing about it. He covers for him. So there's nothing slowing this guy down from what he's doing, hurting people. And the lawsuits are coming, or have already come. I think he already cost some people some money. And he's not responsible for it. The taxpayers pay for it. The chief's not responsible because it comes out of the taxpayers' money. So the problem with the excessive force, and this is why I say the Attorney General is full of crap, is there's no accountability for police when they screw up. If I'm at my job and I do something that screws things up and the company gets sued, I'm not going to have my job. I just cost my employer a lot of money. He's going to say, John, I can't have you here. What you did there was bad, was wrong. You got to go. Yeah, he's got insurance. The insurance will pay for it, or he'll pay for it out of his pocket. But still, he's like, I can't take a chance with you. You're a high risk. But that's not the case with cops. They're not held accountable for anything. So this is why I say this Attorney General here in New Jersey is a big gas bag. He's a liberal gas bag. And he's going to see what to do. And what they did, they bought the database off of NJ Media, and NJ Advanced Media. They were selling the database, the raw database, for $2,000. So our tax money just went to buy this database for $2,000. So some pencil pusher out there in Trenton, another parasite to the taxpayers, is going to sit there and go through that. They're going to have a meeting, figure out what to do. Well, you know what? Gruwal, whatever your name is, I can tell you how to solve the problem. You start firing these bad cops. You got Conte, fire him. You got Amatura. If he gets found guilty, fire him. You got the cop in Ocean Township for the drugs, fire him. And then you got that other jackass. I forget what town he was from. The one with the, he was selling horse pills, horse drugs or something. I don't know what the deal was. I forget who that cop was. I did a video on it. It's like he's just fire them. If they're found guilty, fire them. Or fire them now. But they don't. But you know why it doesn't happen? The PBA here in New Jersey is so strong and got so much money, their hands are in the pockets of the politicians. And this is why these cops get away with all this crap. Unless they do something so egregious, nothing happens to them. Because the PBA is pulling the strings. They donate money to the politicians when they run. So, and the PBA has a lot of money. Lots and lots of it. And they buy these politicians, and these politicians sign off on these real nice sweetheart deals. And it's only with the cops. I mean, there's other public servants out there. There's no way the garbage man's got these kind of deals. I don't even think the teachers union have these kind of sweetheart deals. But the cops, they got it. So this Attorney General, Gerber Grewal, I can't stand the guy. I can't stand listening to him talk. His voice annoys me. And he's always walking around with his religious garb on his head. And he's another liberal nut. You know, and he talks about the... Where is it? You know, he talks about the rule of law here in New Jersey and all that. But yet... he tells the police, you know, don't do anything, leave the illegals alone. You know, we're going to be a sanctuary state. So this is a guy, he's another full of it. He talks out the side, you know, he talks out his ass. You know, whatever's on his agenda, whatever the flavor of the week, he's going to talk about. So right now, excessive force with the police, he's going to crack down on it, and he has to spend taxpayers' money to figure out how to do it. All he's got to do is come see me. I can tell him how to fix the problem. But in the meanwhile, all the illegals are flooding into this state, and he's turning a blind eye to it, and he's telling the cops, don't bother them, leave them alone. But yet, so this is why I say, you know, these politicians, they piss on your leg, they tell you it's raining, and they're all in bed, they protect the cops, the courts protect the cops. It's just one big nepotism in this state. This state is so thick and deep with the swamp. I said it on the last video. You might not like Trump. You might not agree with everything he says, but one thing he said, and it holds true, is the swamp is thick and it's deep. And this group of people that are in the swamp, they're all protecting each other. They're all promoting each other, promoting their own self-interest. And they're all doing it at our expense. We are paying for it. And there's no accountability for them. And it's just, you go to these courts, and these courts are nothing but a big kangaroo court, especially these municipal courts who do nothing but generate money. You know, it's like the cop goes out there and he has to generate tickets. And then you get to the municipal court, and the judge there, who's a private lawyer, is being hired by the town to administer justice. He's under pressure to make money for the town, because if he doesn't make money for the town, they're not going to renew his contract. There's just so much corruption in this state. I don't know what the solution is. All I know is that I'll keep pointing the camera, I'll keep reading stories, I'll keep talking about it. And hopefully it's going to start sinking into somebody's head, everybody's head, that we have to, there has to be change here in New Jersey. And we have to start with these politicians. We have to start holding these police chiefs accountable for their officers' actions. And as I say in a lot of my videos, we have the power of social media. Social media is our weapon. Whether it be the camera or just getting on there and talking about it. Spreading, you know, if you see a story, post it on your Facebook page, and somebody else will post it. And next thing you know, a lot of people see the story. And, you know, these cockroaches, they don't like when the light's shined on them. They scurry. And I just, like, it's just so frustrating. You go out and you see, while I was sitting here doing this video, I saw one of the police cars. He had his plate reader on his car, and it's late at night here. It's like 12 o'clock at night right now. And he was going up and down the road trolling for dollars instead of patrolling. So I don't know. I really don't have much more to talk about. So anyway, let me... I'm going to finish up with this. I just want to read some of the comments from last night's video. I'm going to try to do several videos a week. Maybe one every night, 5 days a week. What do you think? Let me bring up my channel, because I want to read some of the comments. Governmental stuff and... Okay. So this one was Shivan J1, I think it says. So I'm just going to read the comments. I'll respond to them. Yeah, that window tint pisses me off too. This is in Florida. If you had that tint on my vehicle, I'd be getting pulled over every couple miles, and that over time they get for standing around. Well, some repair crew is working on a hole, blah, blah, blah. Now, the window tint is all these cop cars are starting to put the window tint on there so that we can't see in there to them, and it makes it difficult to record them, to see if they audit them, to see if they got their seatbelt on. But this is becoming the time of year where we can get them, because when it starts getting nice out, where it's not too hot, they will drive around with their window open. And that's how I get them if I go out and I do an audit. But yeah, there's two sets of rules. They drive around with their dark tint on their windows, and you and I do it, we get pulled over. Now, Mr. Blue made a joke here, and I think it's kind of funny. He says, I like this, John. I've always said that you have a face that would look great on radio. Just kidding. Good job. Yeah, I'm not very photogenic. I'll be the first to admit that. I am not a photogenic guy. Unchained Melody gave me a heart. Love you, Gunnison. Well, thank you. Lisa Irvine, she says, the cops always smell marijuana or alcohol. How can you fight that? They say something looks suspicious. That's not a reason to suspect a crime. But again, how do you fight that? Well, you know, you got to have a camera ready. We're in a time, a day and age, where we got to have a dash cam in our car to protect us against accidents and to protect us against these road pyres that pull us over. Believe me, when I get pulled over and I put that camera up on the dashboard, the cop is thinking twice about what he's doing, because he knows that can end up on social media, which the last time I got pulled over, it did end up on social media. And the other thing is, you got to learn your rights. You got to know what your rights are. You got to practice saying it to yourself. I'm sorry, officer, I don't answer. I'm sorry, officer, I know you're just trying to do a job, but I don't answer questions. And then you got to be ready for them, because they're going to play the mind game with you, where they're trying to trick you. Well, they just keep asking you questions, and you have to keep telling them, I'm sorry, I don't answer questions. Now, I had one time where I got stopped over in Woodbridge, and I know why I got stopped, because I had screwed with them with a video. And this cop's like, oh, you got a P.O. box. You have a physical address? I said, the address on there is the address you need. And he kept going at it, and I just kept repeating what I said. The address on my license is the address. Send me a Christmas card there, and I'll get it. And he finally shut up and stopped it. But they will keep playing that game. They play that game. If I ask you enough questions, will you answer the question? So you have to do it with confidence. And you don't tell a cop you know your rights. You show him. That's how you teach people. You teach people with your behavior, not with your words. It's your behavior that you teach with. So you have to be confident in what you do. So you have to practice your Fifth Amendment, because that's one of your most important amendments, rights, when you're interacting with the police, and that is to shut up. Because if they're asking you questions, they're only, one, because they don't know, or two, they're trying to confirm what they do know. So if you don't answer the questions, they don't know any more than when they pulled up to you. And you have to be confident about it. And sometimes you may have to take that risk where he threatens to arrest you because you don't want to give him your ID. He's not entitled to the ID. And sometimes you got to take that chance and stand up to it. And it's not easy. Trust me, I've been in this situation more than once. And it's not easy. But every time you get yourself in that situation and you implement your rights, you will get more confidence. So you have to practice it. You have to memorize it. Watch these videos that are out there, how some of the auditors, the more experienced ones, handle themselves with the police, and you build up that confidence. And that's really, in social media, that's the other way. So if something happens, you get pulled over by a cop, you put your phone on, you start recording, you start live streaming. And he will think twice about being a jerk because he knows that he's being recorded and he can't lie. Because we all know they like to lie, they like to rewrite the narrative. Bill DeBello, you're a great job, my brother. Keep it up. Well, thank you. Yoshimura, I've seen that name before. Gunnison is deep undercover at the moment. Got to do public records requests. You'll never run out of stupid government people in public places. Well, I did an Oprah request recently. And I will be talking about it, disclosing it publicly, what is going on. But it has to do with one of the police departments around here violating rights. And I'll be talking about it with Matt Tim. In the near future, I'll be announcing. But it all stems from me doing an Oprah request to verify what I already knew. And we have done Oprah requests in the past because we want to find something out. Now, I love this character here, Leon Russell Channel. He says, and I don't really remember this guy, I don't know him. This YouTube channel has two parts, audio and video. I have two senses that I refuse to give up. Don't even try to foist that on me. Bye. So imagine that, because I do a broadcast without video, that this guy is going to unsub me. Well, I don't really care. If you don't like what I do, I've always said this from day one, if you don't like what I do, unsub. I'm not interested in you. I'm interested in the people who are interested in what I have to say and what I do. Those are the people I want. So if I got close to 4,800 subs and 4,000 want to go, bye, see you later. I'm interested in talking to people who want to hear me. Lisa Irvine chimed in twice. She says, I like to listen to you. I watch first audits and I agree. Government is getting so big and bad, we're not going to change anything. We're going to change. We're going to change it. It just takes time. Anthony DeMarco, great job. Gunnison, loved it. And my buddy Nick Nitro, who's been with me since pretty much day one here. Nice job. I'm with you, brother. No level of government is without corruption. A once respected occupation that any family would be proud of to have is now a so much hated one. Well, they're hated because social media has exposed them for what they were. Back then, we didn't know who they were. We thought they were these great guys out there serving and protecting us, and we found out the only thing they were doing was beating and hurting people. And the black community was the first one to acknowledge it, knew all about it, but everybody just said, oh, they're crook, they're just a crook crying sour grapes. And, the white community doesn't want to believe what the black community had to say, but turns out the poor and black community were right. That there's some bums out there. And it all started with the Rodney King. That's where we really first got our first glimpse of how bad cops can be. Not saying all of them, but you rarely hear them stand up as a group and denounce what goes on. But that Rodney King, that was back in the early 90s. I remember that was like, it's the same thing I just talked about a few minutes ago, where, you got one or two cops beating the crap out of somebody, and all of a sudden, 4, 5, 10 of them come running up, and they all go like, get out of the way, Joe, I got to get my kick in. And they start beating the crap out of this guy. And pretty much nothing happened to any of those cops, but the city of Los Angeles paid a lot of money out to Rodney King. And my buddy Southeastern PA Community Watch. I'll watch or listen to whatever you got. Now, Southeastern PA guy, he is the Mac Daddy of auditing, and he's in the next state over, not too far. He's probably, I don't know, hour ride from me. But I've been on audits with him, and enjoy his video. He has a great demeanor about himself when he talks, and he's fearless, absolutely fearless against these thugs, these turds, these Blue Zero Hero turds. And I would recommend anyone that doesn't know about him, go over there, Southeastern PA Community Watch. He does some great stuff. He's had a couple incidents, and he was victorious, and taught some departments, some agencies with his behavior, what was going to be tolerated and what was not going to be tolerated. All right, that's it for tonight. We'll be back again soon. Let me know what you think about the broadcast. And